Hi, I'm Representative Sheryl Delozier of the 88th Legislative District, and I'm very proud to be here at the Farm Show. And as usual with each year, we get the honor of talking to the Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Redding. He is here doing his professional duties as well.
Official things, yes.
All the official, as well as answering lots of questions that we have for you on the agriculture industry in Pennsylvania. As a leading industry in Pennsylvania, and each year they have a different theme of the Farm Show, which is really nice because so many of the exhibits and everything else go with the theme, and this year is the experience, Pennsylvania's experience and story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we work hard every year to have sort of a theme that sort of captivates both the exhibitors' sort of attention and gives us sort of a rallying point to talk about how do we frame agriculture in the state. Yes, it's important. Yes, it's the Farm Show, but what's the story? Right? Who is the story? And the story is about the farmers and the producers and products and families, and all of that history piece around PA we think is a important reminder of where we started, but also the opportunities we see around Pennsylvania agriculture, where we are today, what that future looks like for us. So Inspiring Pennsylvania Story became sort of the go-to theme, and it's really been wonderful to see how it played out. It also helps for us to have a theme that with all of our fairs are the farm teams, right, into the Farm Show.
Sure.
So it helps them to sort of prepare for how they present their displays.
And it's nice with with all of the fairs that we have in all of our different counties. Not every county has a fair, but the ability for students to be involved. And I know with FFA programs, and I know that there's so many programs to try and get young students involved in agriculture. And one of the issues that comes along with that is STEM and coordinating STEM studies, dealing with technology and science. And can you talk a little bit about, I know that that's been a push to make sure that students recognize that agribusiness is out there, that it's not just working on a farm all the time. Last year I remember meeting a veterinarian and talking about how much goes into feeding the animals on the farm and how much science goes into that. So the STEM programs I know are really important, and I know that you've kind of tried to push that coordination. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this happens to be STEM Day at the Farm Show, which came out of some of those conversations. And our biggest challenge is having people understand that agriculture is more than farming. Farming is a piece of agriculture, right? But they're not synonyms.
Right.
And that's a really important part. So we talk about jobs and careers. It starts with farms. We want them, we need them, we want them to stay there, certainly, all of that. But there's all of this sort of, pieces around, from technology on equipment to the science on conservation to the genetics, right? The food, the distribution, supply chain.
It's pretty amazing how technical it is.
It's very technical, and that's the whole point, that you've got to talk about agriculture today in a very technical way. So, as an example, we have farms, doing the precision agriculture, satellite systems, data layers, have all of the technology, tracking systems for animals, right? So their activities, the Fitbit for cows. So you know exactly
Wouldn't think about that for a cow,
what their behaviors are, right? Just as Fitbits on us tell us something, right, about activity and what's happening. We do the same thing with cows.
Well, and it's interesting. I was talking to one of the students, and it was pretty amazing the data that they collect from those Fitbits.
That's right.
And not only how many steps did the cow take, just like they do for us, but as to the fact of you want a cow to be healthy, and in order to be able, and if they're not up and moving around, it tells the farmer that cow is ill or that needs to be looked at. So it was actually very interesting how much data came back. The students that were talking about it were very, very involved in all the statistics and the spreadsheets that go along with that. So it was interesting to hear from them about it.
Yeah, it's important. We had the Center County, the 4-H robotics team was the national winner last year.
Oh, wow.
So we invited them down today, and these are all 4-H members, right? National team, all about robotics. They built the systems. It was a great demonstration that these are kids involved, engaged. What they were building, you could have built that for an agricultural warehouse, right? So it was a good demonstration.
These are students that are building it, that are learning.
That's always what was the whole team effort was about. National champions.
And two of the issues that have come up actually with not only in 2018, now that we're into 19, but 2018 was the wettest year on record. And with our farming, and we're sitting next to Christmas trees, we're sitting next to many of the products that are produced here in Pennsylvania, but having so much rain, I mean, we go to droughts and we complain we don't have enough. This year we had enough for the next 10 years, I think, but how did that affect the farming in Pennsylvania, and what can we expect the impact, as a household, that someone who's not in farming, what will we see as an impact from that?
Well, it's a great question. So everybody felt inconvenienced by another rain.
Right.
Right.
Right. To us, it's just needing an umbrella.
Yeah.
But to farmers,
if your paycheck depended on it.
Right.
Right. We had 70 inches of rain, so our normal rainfall is 42 inches.
Yeah.
So 70 inches. Other parts of the state had more. So it impacted crop quality. It impacted certainly the fruits and vegetable. You talk to the apple growers who are here, they will tell you very quickly that the quality of those apples in storage, because of all of the moisture, they just don't keep as well. So
that makes sense. I mean, they're not meant to be.
They're not meant to be, right? They're just way more water. But if you're supplying those to the local supermarket, or supplying those across the country, or potentially even exporting them, you need to know that the shelf life of that product may. So that's just one example.
And that comes down to the science as well as understanding how long a product can live after it's been put in a bushel or put in all of the different packaging and everything that goes into that.
Right.
One of the other things that also came about is that's very important in the 88th district. We have dairy farmers in Cumberland County. We have heavy dairy farmers. Many times people talk about the dairy industry and how important it is to Pennsylvania and how many dairy farmers we do have in Pennsylvania, but also that they're struggling right now and that many things are affecting them. And I know that we can talk about the milk marketing board and we can talk about the milk prices and all of that, but sometimes it goes over people's heads as to what does the impact of dairy farmers have and how this industry is really being affected. Can you give somebody who is not knowledgeable about farming an idea as to what is going on with our dairy industry?
Yeah. Well, dairy has been in this very difficult spot the last 3 years, right? And there's been a steady decline, unfortunately, that puts each of these farms, 6,500 of them in Pennsylvania. It's our largest agricultural production sector. So what happens to dairy speaks volumes for what happens to the rest of agriculture. Very concerned about it.
Sure.
Just because we've been in, most of those cycles have been 18-month cycles, and now we're talking about a 3-year cycle. So the dairy farmers in Cumberland County and the region are saying, I don't know. I mean, how long can I stay in that sort of slump? Now, still survive because the issues are very real, right? They've got their paycheck is a milk check, and without that, I mean, they're not going to keep investing. So, where we are today, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in prices here early in 2019. Not a lot, right? But at least it's not sliding back.
Right, going in the right direction.
It's going the right direction. We're going to keep working at the processing and building some capacity, reinvesting. We've got some opportunity there. The one thing I've asked every consumer to do who's raised concern about dairy is to be very aware of where you buy and what you buy in terms of milk and dairy products, right?
Okay, what should they look for?
Look for the Pennsylvania Preferred label.
Okay.
Right? Very simple.
Okay.
PA Preferred is the only 100% guarantee of that product coming from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Right? There's a plant code 42 that's on the bottles of milk. 42 just means it's processed here. It's not necessarily from Pennsylvania, right?
So there's a difference.
There's a difference. PA Preferred says it's here, it's grown here, packaged here, sold here, Pennsylvania Preferred. But make sure you buy milk, right? And
that's important, right?
It's an important
all the
piece.
products of dairy.
It's been an issue that's driven us in part to where we are is because of consumption. And there are a lot of alternatives.
There are.
There are a lot of alternatives. I just say to folks, be aware. Because on one hand, you want some alternative product that may not be produced in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
If you have a choice for supporting Pennsylvania, you know that you're going to support your Cumberland County dairy producers, right?
And that's education, getting that word out and making sure people know.
Right.
Well, I know my daughter and our household do our part as we go through a few gallons a week of milk. but I'll have to take a look at that Pennsylvania Preferred and take a look at
it.
the number. That's something I was not aware of, to be able to differentiate in the grocery store.
Right.
But just to end up a little bit, as we were talking ahead of time, we were talking about the food court, and that's a big draw here. And I get the honor each year of serving milkshakes. I think it's great.
Okay,
It's a wonderful opportunity to interact with everybody. But I understand you told me about a new booth that was there. That sounds very enticing. And not that anything's going to take away from the milkshakes, obviously. But speaking of apples, as we were a minute ago, I guess they're being used very well in the food court with the new booth.
They are. So if you're in Cumberland, Franklin, Adams, York, we've got
All
a lot
those
of
apples.
all those apples. So you can go to the food court. There's the apple growers.
Okay.
And they've got this beautiful and delicious apple dumpling, warm, with ice cream.
Which sounds really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Maybe not after all the Thanksgiving and Christmases that we've had, but it's still,
pace yourself.
Exactly.
But it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of things to see here. We have today. I know we're doing the horses. I get to drive a team of horses, which if you hear a loud screeching later, you'll know what happened. But there's so many things to see here at the farm show. And thank you so much for your time and answering questions.
Great to see you.
Really
Happy New
appreciate
Year.
it. Happy New Year
Thanks
to
for
you
being here.
too.